Hello again. Right, I am going to make one point. I am currently sitting on my bed and I can see the camera moving. The camera is on a stack of books. So if you wobble a bit, that I am so sorry, and if I suddenly move it's because my books have fallen down and I've decided to give up. Right, the background is kind of an idea to what this video is about. I've seen a debate on my Tumblr about whether comic books and graphic novels are actually classed as books, or whether you can include them in reading challenges, or I don't know, just like, you know, where you do the book photo challenges of each month, can you include comic books and graphic novels? Personally, I say yes, and I'm gonna show you why I personally believe that. This video is going to be long, I will warn you now. I may have to split it into two parts. So, we'll try and get on with it. So, I've got a big stack next to me and I have come prepared. A comic book or graphic novel, whatever you prefer to call it. I know comic books are normally thinner and graphic novels are slightly thicker. And books. So I have picked a book I am currently reading. Can this be classed in the same as this? Well, you can't really compare this to this, because this is Batman and this is the City of Ember. But, however, you can compare this to this. It's exactly the same story, just one's a graphic novel and one is a book. I'm going to say the ordinary book, because I can't just say that's a graphic novel and that's a book, because they're both, I'm trying to prove a point that they're both books. Right, so you can see the thickness. This one's obviously thinner because the story's being told in pictures and words. So I have bookmarked a certain bit and I need to find it in the graphic novel because I wasn't that smart. But I know it is early on, so just give me a moment. So, right, they're all ready. This may contain a few spoilers, but nothing drastic. I should probably point that out now. If you don't like spoilers, there's nothing really going to give it away completely. Right, if you know the City of Ember, it's about a city underground that have been built by, they call them the Builders, which I suppose is their kind of version of God, who built their city. So, a girl finds a box from a mayor that has instructions of how to get out of Ember to restart life up on Earth. Not really too good at wording things. Right, she finds out there's something to do with the pipework. So there is a whole chapter on how she deciphers the message and what she decides to do. It's quite... Whereas in the graphic novel, pretty much 4 pages, so 2 double page spread. It just isn't shorter because it's easier to explain in pictures. But this gives exactly the same story as this. There's a few minor details mixed out which isn't really needed. Still the same thing. They both contain, I know this one doesn't actually contain that many words, it's more pictures and explaining, but you still read it, flicking through for different, so these have more, you're still reading, you're still having to understand, you're still having to think. Anything that a book would do is not really much difference apart from pictures. Now if we try and compare something completely different, so instead of the same story, to the different ones. Right, so I've got this one. It's a little book I bought for about £1. It's only thin, it's about 80 pages of actual story. So, you got adverts in the back. That's the actual story, that's how thick it is. So if we compare it with how thick this one is, this one's classed as book, but this one's being argued whether it's a book. But if you have a look, this is basically just hickety-pickety. I don't really plan things out, I'm not that kind of person. The words are quite big in this, whereas in this one, if you turn to my bookmarked page, there is quite a lot of writing in this one, and the writing's actually quite small. Let me see if I can focus on it. And that's not just the next page, it's all the way through. There are some, I know in graphic novels and that, not every page is filled with loads and loads of writing. But you get quite a few that are filled with a hell of a lot of writing. So you're still having to read more, think about it, and then as you get to, this one's got old comic books in, it's all about the Riddler, and newer ones. If you look at newer ones, there's a lot less writing, but it's actually thicker. So, still quite a bit. And I think there's actually more reading in this than there is in this. So why isn't this classed as a book for some people? You still got to read, you still got to think, you still got to take it in, you still got to pay attention. Exactly the same as this. And this one, without a doubt, is classed as a book. This one's thicker, more words. You've got to pay more attention to it. And people are struggling to class it as a book. And there are actual in-depth debates. So let's put them that way. And in case you think, oh, that's just one comic book. I like my comic books, you know, I got a few. Batman ones again. I'll stick to the same kind of theme. So, The Killing Joke. Well, this one actually has an introduction. So there is a lot more reading to be done. So why? And again, this is a newer comic book, so I'm comparing the old and the new mixed in with an actual newer one. Still quite a bit of writing. Some pictures are bigger, some are smaller, don't all stick to the same thing. And then you get one with hardly any on. But this is still classed as a book. Graphic novel, again, I'll show another one. Now, Arkham Unhinged. If you follow my Tumblr, you'll see I do post quite a lot about comic books and that. They're great for reading slumps. If you're in a reading slump and you can't fix on a book, comic books are so much easier to read and to try and get you out. I was in a reading slump for about 2 months. I was reading books in between, but I read about 5 in 2 months, whereas in 1 month I'd read 32. So you can see how much down that was for me. But they're great for reading slumps. So again, you've got lots of pictures and not so many words, but still a decent amount. You still got to think, still got to understand. Now, this has words in. This is a picture book. Still classed as a book though. And there are no words at all. I think there's maybe, don't know, I haven't read these in years. I think there's maybe like 1 word. Again, people class picture books as books again, but comic books aren't and graphic novels aren't. Is that because they include pictures and words, so you don't know where to place it, as in picture book or... So if you don't know whether to put it in your reading challenge or your photo challenge month things, I say go for it. Because to me they're still books, and like I said, they're brilliant for reading slumps. They're brilliant for getting kids into reading too. So you can sit a kid down with a comic book, you know, to read on, and they'd read through it, and it's just, if it gets them into reading, eventually into reading books like this, then where's the problem? They're brilliant for any age, any time. Read them on the bus, read them on just before bed. They don't take too long depending on which ones you read. I mean, obviously this one is going to take a lot less time than this one. There's still books. I don't see a problem with it. You can just see different thicknesses and stack them. Whoops, I don't have good balance. No matter what you read it. Whether you think it's classed as a book or whether you don't think it's classed as a book. Add it to your reading challenge. Add it to your photo challenge. Do whatever you think classes as a book. Read what you want to read and don't be ashamed to. I add comic books to my reading challenge. I've had people tell me they aren't books. Do I care? Nope. Right, I'm going to wrap this up because I didn't plan it out too bad. I find it really boring and I can't stick my mind to it. So I just kind of rant through the videos. So it wasn't as long as I think it was. If you have any debates about it, comment below, like this video. You can dislike this video because it's your opinion. Yeah, I'd love to hear whether you class them as books or whether you don't. Yeah, so I'll see you next time I film a video, which I don't know when will be. Until then, keep reading.